Hi there, I'm Ben and welcome to my beginner's guide for the newest Ghost Recon game, Breakpoint. I would just like to start by thanking Ubisoft for reaching out to me and allowing me full access to the game in advance. This video is not sponsored by Ubisoft, but you will be able to find it, along with a selection of my other videos, both upcoming and existing, on the game plan part of their website. The link will be in the description for that. Okay, although returning players will find some useful information here, I'm going to tailor this video more to brand new players. Players that haven't played any of the previous games in the Ghost Recon franchise. The reason I'm doing this is that I feel this game is going to attract a lot of new players to the franchise, and the reason that I say this is because I'm one of them. The list of topics I'll touch on along with the timestamps can be found in the description. If there are any topics in this video you want me to go into more detail on, please let me know and I'll be happy to make some more videos on them. There will be a part 2 to this video where I go through the gameplay elements of Breakpoint. This video is to help you understand the fundamentals of the game. So let's start at the beginning. What is Ghost Recon Breakpoint and what can I expect? Breakpoint is a third-person military shooter set in a fully open world with some RPG mechanics and a loot system, and that's putting it very simply. While Breakpoint does have an emphasis on realism when it comes to the firearms in the game, it's not a combat simulator. It does have more of an arcadey feel to it. Having said that, you can make it feel more real if you jack up the difficulty, turn off the HUD and turn off guided mode. More on that later on. Now, one thing I will point out, you will need an internet connection to play Breakpoint, but that doesn't mean that the game is always a multiplayer game. While the game does have co-op and PvP, you can just choose to play through the story on your own, and that's pretty much how the game actually starts. You will need to go through the character creation options and complete the first mission before you're able to access all of the game's features. The character creation is the first thing you will do. You'll be able to play as either a male or female character, but your name will be Nomad regardless of gender. You can customize all the usual features of your character here: face shape, eye colour, hair colour and style, and distinctive features like scars. You can also add tattoos to your character and change their hairstyle later on in the options menu. As mentioned previously, there is an option in the game called Guided Mode. This is automatically on from the start. As the name may suggest, this mode is, well, guided. There's nothing particularly special about this is how most games are nowadays. The objectives to each mission will be marked on your map when it's on. The true experience of Breakpoint comes when you turn this mode off, and then you'll have to work out where you're supposed to be going by using the clues given and the map. Now, if you're new to Breakpoint, then this may not be how you'll want to play right away, but you can turn it on or off at any time if you change your mind about it. The map in Breakpoint is huge. There's a lot of map to cover and there's lots of places to explore. When you initially look at the map, you may be slightly overwhelmed, not just by the size but the sheer amount of question marks that are dotted all over it. All of these question marks are a location. They can be as small as a shack that just contains an item chest, or it can be a fully manned enemy base. The beauty of it is that you won't know what it is until you get there. Luckily for me and all my fellow trophy hunters and completionists out there, each location has a little information tab that pops up when you hover over it on the map. This will tell you what you can expect to find at the location once you've discovered it and whether you've found everything that is there. Each item will get ticked off as you find it. Don't worry about getting around the map, there are plenty of options from sports cars to attack helicopters. Alternatively, you can fast travel to a bivouac location that you've previously discovered. Bivouacs are not just fast travel points, they're also a place that you can set up camp. This is something you'll find yourself doing often. Once you've set up, you'll be able to do a lot of important things. You'll be able to apply temporary buffs to your character. The buffs that you can apply to your character are found in the preparation section. These range from increased injury resistance and stamina to XP bonuses. You can only have one selected at a time and it will last for an hour. Every time you use a bivouac, the hour to your chosen buff will be topped back up, so visit often. Also, while camp is set up, you can change your character's class, which is great as you're not restricted to just one class. you are actively encouraged to switch them and play around with them. I'll go into more detail about classes a little later on. Also, you'll be able to craft items such as grenades and healing syringes. Use the shop to purchase pretty much anything you like. Having said that, the weapons and gear that are available for you to purchase do cycle. You can only buy a specific weapon once you've found the schematic for it out in the world. Everything else though, attachments, consumables and even vehicles can be purchased at any time. From the bivouac you can also access your garage where you can choose any vehicle that you've previously purchased. It'll be waiting for you near the bivouac once you've finished. Finally, as you break camp, you'll also be able to advance time, which you can use as a tactical advantage if you're about to assault a base. Since I mentioned classes in the bivouac section, I'll go through those next. The classes are Field Medic, Assault, Panther and my personal favourite, Sharpshooter. Like mentioned previously, you choose a class at the beginning of the game as you gain your first skill point, but you are never locked into it. You're still free to use whichever weapons and gear you like. Each class is supposed to complement your playstyle rather than force you to play a certain way. If you want to change your style and stop popping heads from afar as a sharpshooter and move into more of an assault build, you're free to do that whenever you want at a bivouac. The great thing is, the weapons, items and gear that you use will be saved to each class, so you can switch back and forth without having to change your loadout every time. Each class has its own technique, item and proficiencies. The technique is a special skill that can be used once the bar for it has been filled up. You do this by killing enemies. They are powerful abilities that can really help you out in a tough spot. Well, apart from the medic, which is pretty much useless if you're playing solo. The same goes for the class specific items. These range from a cloaking spray for the Panther, which renders you invisible to drones, to gas grenades which cause AoE damage for the assault class. Each class also has its own proficiencies. These are permanent buffs. For example, as the sharpshooter, you'll be able to hold your breath for longer and get bonuses when using DMRs and sniper rifles, while the assault class has extra health and bonuses when using assault rifles and shotguns. Also connected to the classes is a skill tree, and again, your class doesn't force you down one particular part of the tree. So as a couple of the ways you level up in Breakpoint are connected to classes, I think that's a pretty good segue. There are two primary ways that you level up in Breakpoint and a third that grants you class-based rewards. Firstly, you have the skill tree that I just mentioned. This is your standard way of leveling up that you see in every other game. You get XP from doing pretty much everything in the game, and every time you level up, you get a skill point that you can spend on the skill tree. The skill tree has a few different things you can spend your points on. You will need to spend your first skill point to unlock a class, and then another for each class you want after that. Next we have standard abilities like night vision goggles and a parachute. Trust me, that one comes in particularly handy when jumping out of helicopters. You can unlock passive abilities like XP boosts, consumables like rocket launchers and certain type of grenades, but most importantly, perks. These are abilities that need to be equipped. At the start you'll only be able to equip one at a time, but luckily you can spend a few more skill points in the tree and unlock more perk slots, up to 3 in total. I'm not going to touch on PvP in this video, but I'll just mention that your weapons and gear do cross over to it, as do some of the perks. Some cannot be used in PvP however, as they'll be too powerful. You can see which ones are okay on the top right of their individual information boxes. One final thing I'll mention about the skill tree is that you will need to purchase the ability to level your weapons up. More on that in the weapons section of the video. Before we move on to the most important leveling system of the game, I'll just go through the other class based leveling. When you have a class selected, it has its own rank up challenges all the way up to level 10. As you rank up, you'll unlock certain class based items. These could be as simple as badges or new weapons like knives. Eventually, at level 10 you'll unlock an exclusive weapon. To unlock each rank, you'll need to complete certain criteria, most of which will come naturally. For example, for the sharpshooter, you might need to do something as simple as kill 15 enemies with a sniper rifle or DMR, or something a little more testing like getting a headshot from over 300 meters away. These challenges do bring a fun element to the combat. Right, so the final and most important way you level up in Ghost Recon Breakpoint is directly connected to your weapons and equipment. As Breakpoint does have a loot system, each weapon and piece of gear you find in the game has its own level. Your character level is an average of all the current weapons and gear you have equipped. So if all your weapons and gear are level 50, you will be level 50. If half of your weapons and gear are level 40 and half are level 50, you'll be level 45. So why is this level so important? Well, it directly affects the difficulty of the enemies around you. If you enter an area that has level 150 enemies and you're level 32, you're going to get annihilated. Trust me, I speak from experience. Now this doesn't mean you can't enter these areas and be successful. You can. You just have to be extra vigilant and make no mistakes when it comes to being stealthy. If you headshot a level 150 enemy when you're level 32, he still dies from one shot. This level will grow naturally as you play. As you equip better gear and explore new areas and finish missions, you'll find better weapons and gear at a higher level. Honestly, I found this to be one of the more exciting and engaging parts of Breakpoint. Well, that and popping someone's head from 350 meters away. So as I've just mentioned them in the previous part, let's talk about the final parts I'm going to cover in this video. The loot system, aka weapons and gear. We already know that the weapons and gear have levels, but what else is there to say about them? Well, quite a lot really, probably more than I can go through in this video. Firstly, the weapons. Breakpoint is a semi-realistic shooter when it comes to the actual weapon design. So as you can imagine, there are a lot of weapons and they all have individual stats and uses. You have assault rifles, sniper rifles, SMGs, LMGs, pistols, anything you could possibly want is here. If that wasn't enough, each weapon is fully customizable and upgradable. Select a weapon and go to the gunsmith menu and you can paint it, add weapon mods like different scopes, magazines and silencers, or even upgrade it. Upgrades do cost materials, which can be primarily obtained by breaking down weapons you don't want anymore. You'll be doing this a lot, as you'll be picking up a lot of weapons. As I mentioned in the skills part of the video, you will need to unlock the ability to upgrade weapons to Mark II and III. You may feel like it's a waste of time upgrading weapons as you'll just find a better one later on, but the materials are so plentiful it's definitely worth doing all of the time. Next up we have the gear. These are helmets or hats, gloves, vests, pants and boots. Gear works a little differently to weapons when it comes to replacing them. If you have a level 20 MP7 SMG and you find a level 30 MP7, you're obviously just going to switch them out. Whereas the gear you find can also have passive abilities like added stamina, drone evasion or injury resistance. So just because you find some pants that are at a higher level, it might not be worth swapping them out if the abilities aren't as good, if it even has any at all. It may sound like you're going to be doing a lot of item management, and at first you'll find yourself doing it all the time, but because the loot system is as simple or as complex as you want it to be, it's up to you how much time you spend managing your gear. I will just mention that the standard white, green, blue, purple and orange rarity system is in this game to help you sort your items too. Okay, so hopefully this video has helped you with the fundamentals of Breakpoint. There are certain things I haven't touched on like drones and just the combat in general. I'll be doing a separate video on the gameplay. Please, if you have any questions about the game or want me to make a video on a certain topic, let me know. This is a new type of video for me, the general tips video. It's a new direction I want to take my channel in. Don't worry, I will still be doing trophy guides and mission walkthroughs. I'm just expanding a little. Right, like, subscribe, etc, etc. You know the drill, it all helps the channel and it's much appreciated. Thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next one.